Hello, it's a slightly unusual video this time in view of the health conditions out there in the world. Bonjour. I promised to do a special video if I got 20,000 subscribers, and I have got 20,000 subscribers, thank you very much, which is very decent of you. The problem is I've been overtaken by a new confinement, a new lockdown in France, and sailing is not allowed. As you probably know, there was a large revolution in art a little over 100 years ago when modernism was invented, modern art was invented. And there was a bit of a row at the time, and an awful lot of people carried on doing traditional art, but finally the modern artists won. And so nowadays what you will get in most towns of any size is you'll actually have two art galleries, or at least two art galleries, but you usually have a gallery of modern art, and then you'll have the gallery of traditional art, which will show everything else. And the two are completely different, and they tend to attract completely different people. And for a long time, art training stayed the same. People like the Beatles went to a school of art, and they would have drawn from the antique. There were galleries full of casts of ancient classical sculptures, and you sat down and you drew them. Till the 1960s, that's what people training to be artists did. So everyone had a certain technique. Since then, the conventional wisdom in modern art circles has been that art is basically conceptual. I'm summarising here. I'm summarising a big subject. But there was a big change. So someone like me, I suppose I'm not an artist at all. I just do pictures, I do illustration. Because a real artist is someone who puts art in these real white box modern galleries, and I've never done that. You know, there's almost this definition that art is what you put in art galleries. And if you put anything in an art gallery, even if it's an unmade bed, it becomes art. Whereas if you have an unmade bed in your bedroom, it isn't art. Or is it? But it's big business. It really is big business. And I think in becoming big business, it has lost something of its bite, something of its value in life, actually. And so I am calling this video Art in Life, because I think it is the mixture of art and life that is important. And that's what I want to argue for. one knows about this. This isn't in any guidebook. It's not on any tourist route. It's just happening on this promontory overlooking the sea in Brittany. A man is just building a Calvary and making it his life's work. He's just building it. He's not had any commission to do this. He doesn't even own the land. And he's been doing this for many years. Calvaries are a traditional Breton thing, but François here is interpreting it in his own way. François spends each morning drawing. So although one time I was visiting him in a professional capacity to give advice on his building projects, I still had to spend the morning drawing and painting as well.
Pas de souci. Absolument.
The house is nothing like a normal contemporary interior. Instead, it is richly decorated and deeply personal, expressive of the lives of François and Mitra and of their family. One time I visited them. Mitra had just moulded some clay beasts which François put on the ridge of part of the house. I want to suggest that this is the way we should all live. We should all live in an environment that is personal to ourselves, that expresses our own feelings, that symbolises our lives and our relationship with our loved ones. That isn't just bought off the shelf, but is richly expressive of our own individual human lives. The garden is full of various maquettes that François carves to explore the shapes and forms of the sculptures that he's eventually going to realise in the unyielding material of Breton granite. The reason I was there this last time was to check out the progress on a nearby fortified manor house which François's son Yazdan has bought and which he has been slowly restoring. The previous time I visited, nearly 2 years ago, it was the depth of winter and the place was in ruins. But you could see the remains of the fortifications of the courtyard. And we lit a fire in the old medieval fireplace and tried to keep out the cold. Now, visiting again, I can see that a lot of progress has been made, even though everything is being done slowly using traditional techniques. Yazdan and François were working on the lodge just inside the entrance, which is almost ready to be lived in. The accepted practice in modern building conservation is that you conservatively repair what you know for a fact was actually there. François and Yazdan take a different view. They are restoring the building romantically. They're making it what perhaps it really should have been, rather than what it really was. And all the better for that, in my view. There is far too little romance in the modern world. Inside the house, things are still very basic, but it is habitable if you're prepared to live in a very simple way, heating your soup on an open fire in the old medieval ingle nook, which has now been repaired.
Alors,
On va être là à faire le chaudron.
vidéo de 3/4 d'heure ici. Par la soupe. Ça y est, la pierre.
Yazdan and François both believe that we must urgently return to a more simple life to save the planet for the future. The trouble with criticising contemporary art, and indeed architecture, is that you're so often seen as criticising all of it if you start criticising certain aspects of it. But the problem with the idea that art has to be conceptual is that it's sort of blocked out a lot of people who don't see themselves as having some great concept. And what I want to do is to say to you, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to decorate your environment. Don't be afraid to go out and start drawing and painting. It is perfectly valid. Indeed, perhaps it might save the world.